I make a motion to come out of executive session, return to regular meeting.
Second.
Case. No?
Okay, so there's a motion on the table made by the supervisor, seconded by Gutierrez, to return to exit out of executive session, return to regular meeting.
I was going to say.
Why not? I was trying to pull it up so that I had it in front of me so that I
Well,
could point.
yeah, we're doing an addendum to the comprehensive plan.
Right, but we're doing this is the local
We're
law.
doing the local law tonight.
Yes, exactly. So that's what I was going to bring up so that I could just point to exactly where it was. But first, I wanted to, so that everybody knows, the Amenia Housing Board has actually been working on this project for well over 2 years. So I wanted to thank everybody who has on that board worked on it. The planning board also spent a lot of time going over it, as has the town board. I wanted to, so last meeting, I brought up the phasing schedule that's in our current code. I just wanted to make sure that Ian has looked through and feels that this revision addresses the ambiguity in the current code. Not that I need an answer for that, but I just want to make sure that it has been, revised in such a way.
Did that come from the housing board comments? Was that part of your housing board comments?
It's in what has been published for the draft review today at this public hearing.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure, because I heard there was comments from the housing board, but
They've been incorporated.
All right, because perfect.
Yep. The only other housing board comment I think that we had, there are two little nitpicks. One is related to the density bonus. There was never a density bonus in our code related to affordable housing. That has been added into this revision. However, it still doesn't, I feel like that there should be an exemption from the requirement of building 10% of your housing if you do 10 or more units, if you opt to do a density bonus. Because the density bonus now lets you, if you set aside 25% of your development as affordable housing, you get a 50% density bonus under the conservation subdivision. I don't think that, it's a bizarre formula that then you somehow would have to do another 10%. It incentivizes developers to actually build the housing, and I think that there shouldn't be an out for fee in lieu of. You get the density bonus, you actually have to build the affordable housing, and you don't get an out. That is a comment that we have given to AKRF to include there.
I do think just on both of those items, both the schedule and aspects of the density bonus, the planning board did provide some comments and questions, which we just got back today. So I think we...
Yeah, I'm not sure if my last comment, the planning board had that. They definitely the 25% density, a 50% density bonus if you set aside 25% of your development for workforce housing was in the draft that the planning board got, I believe, or the planning board's attorney. But my comment hasn't been sent to them. But I suppose maybe that's all put together and then circulated again. Is that the way that works?
Yeah, I would assume. They did comment on the fee in lieu of schedule.
Oh, they did?
They did. And they had commented on the current density bonus proposed language that's in there. So, we have to take all this feedback and put it.
So then will there be another public hearing that presents that?
This public hearing will be continued until December 15th.
Fantastic. And at some point, those comments will be circulated to the public from the planning board? That's the way that will work?
We just received them today.
Okay.
And we're still waiting on the county as well, right?
Correct.
We got a message from AKRF as well today that it's their recommendation we continue the public hearing, and they're suggesting that we do that to give them the opportunity to integrate all these comments that we're receiving. So.
Okay. So we have a housing board meeting on Sunday, 10 a.m. The housing board, by the way, just so everybody knows, it's a public meeting, is held the first Sunday of every month at 10 a.m. via Zoom, and that link is consistent, so anybody can join and participate. So hopefully maybe we can get that before our meeting to review. Would be great. All right.
Is there any other public comment? regarding affordable housing. Okay, I make a motion to continue the public hearing until December 15th.
Second.
Time.
At 7 p.m.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Fablelard,
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
I make a motion to return to regular meeting.
Second.
7:22. Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Fablelard,
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
Now, is there any general public comment? Town clerk report.
Good evening. I just need to get this minutes. I am in receipt of a resignation that was circulated from Charlie. It was from Brian, that's Distelberg. He is resigning from the wastewater committee. If the town board would be
Make a
so
motion
kind.
that we accept with regret Brian's notice of resignation from the wastewater committee.
Second.
Oop,
Go ahead.
I'll let Victoria do that.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Fablelard,
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
Also this evening, the board had the opportunity to meet with several candidates and our meeting before for some of our open volunteer positions that are vacant effective immediately and some with terms beginning on January 1st of 2023. Has the board had the opportunity to discuss and ready to make action?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we appoint George Bestranson to the Board of Assessment Review with an appointment that ends on September 30th, 2024.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Fablelard,
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
Make a motion that we appoint John Terry Metcalf to the ZBA.
Second.
Second that.
Second.
Term,
For the term that expires 12/31/2027.
Leo, was that you?
I
Supervisor
second that.
Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Fablelard, Blackman.
Second motion to appoint John Terry Metcalf as chair of the ZBA.
Second?
With the term ending,
Same terms, 2027.
3. It's 1 year.
What?
1 year.
Oh, 1 year, sorry. So ending 12/31/2023.
Every year you pick your chair. Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Fablelard.
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we appoint George Bestranson to the Enhancement Committee.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Fablelard,
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
Move that we appoint Peter McCaffrey to the Recreation Commission.
Term,
2027.
second.
Second.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Fablelard,
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes. I'll move that we appoint Craig Mealy as an alternate to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Second?
Term,
12/31/2023.
20,
correct. Supervisor Doyle, moving you right on up, you're right next to me. Supervisor
Close
Perotti?
Yes.
Vicky. So, Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Fablelard.
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Nina Peak to the Planning Board through 12/31/29.
I'll second that.
Supervisor Perotti,
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle,
Yes.
Gutierrez.
yes.
Fablelard.
Yes.
Blackman.
Yes.
I move.
Make a motion.
Go
Go,
ahead.
sorry, Vicky, go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. You got it.
Brad, you haven't gone yet. You want to do one?
No.
Okay. I'll make a motion. We appoint Bill Flood to the wastewater committee for a term ending.
No terms.
No term
No
on
term.
that.
I'll second.
Supervisor Prody?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Revelard?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Manawar Ahmed to the Housing Board.
Second.
Supervisor Prody?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revelard?
Yes. It was sneaky.
Looking right at you.
I make a motion that we appoint Matthew Schnepp to the Comprehensive Plan and the Wastewater Committees.
No, we're not doing
Wait.
comprehensive.
No, we're not doing that.
Oh, I'm sorry,
It's
to the
housing.
Wastewater Committee.
Housing.
To wastewater.
We're still on housing.
Second.
I'll
Okay,
do
she's doing
housing
waste.
next.
Okay, so you're going to do wastewater, you're going to do them separate. Is that you, Leo, or
Second.
Amien? Supervisor Prody?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revelard?
Yes.
I'll move that we appoint Matthew Schnepp to the Housing Board.
Second.
Supervisor Prody?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Revelard?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's everybody.
Those that are watching out in TV land, currently the town board is accepting applications for the newly established comprehensive plan update committee. We also do have the openings on our ethics board. There are 2 seats available, both with terms ending in the month of December, one for the year of 2025 and one for the year of 2027. We also still have remaining an alternate ZBA position open and vacant. As always, there are other committees that are here at the town of Amenia. That's your CAC, your enhancement committee, who are always looking and accepting applications for those that have residency here within the town of Amenia and are interested in those areas of interest. I do share a bunch of activities that we have going on here in the month of December as this holiday season does come upon us. This Sunday, the VFW is offering their auxiliary breakfast. It's the Sunday, December 4th from 7:30 to 11 a.m. Here at the Town Hall, through Wednesday, they are collecting the Amenia Wassaic Holiday Toy Drive. They're currently collecting toys for our children here within the community. There are toy boxes located throughout our community, but there are boxes right here at the Amenia Town Hall if this is a convenient location for you to drop off. Also, right here within our town, we have the Harlan Valley Little Free Libraries, so there's a holiday book drive going on in Wassaic. I was asked for the Immaculate Conception Church. They are doing their annual bag sales taking place on December 7th and December 10th. Do keep in mind, after that closes on December 10th, then they're closed through the rest of the winter season, and they'll be opening up back in mid-March. The Amenia Fire Company Auxiliary is going to be offering right here, Sunday, December 17th, from the hours of 10 to 2. They're going to be doing their craft and vendor fair sale, so that'll be fun. There'll be stuff going on in the gym, and I know there's a show going on that day, right, the 17th?
The 17th at 2 o'clock.
So a lot going on here at the town hall. But before we can even get to that event, we do have our annual Parade of Lights. It's the Amenia Fire Company's 11th annual Celebration of Lights Parade taking place right here. It's going to be on our main street, beginning at Mechanic Street, going up 343, coming and ending here at the Amenia Town Hall. We do have some fun activities planned for all ages, beginning at 2 o'clock. You can come and help decorate the tree here in the center of town. 3 o'clock, there's a visit with Santa, beginning over at Great Cape Baking Company between 3 and 4:45. It's going to be all of 3:43. We're going to have some kid holiday arts and crafts. There's going to be complimentary refreshments from our local businesses. 4 o'clock, Dweeba Talk Warriors musical performance right here at our basketball courts. At 4:45 p.m., the supervisor and the town board will be announcing our Citizen of the Year and having the official tree lighting. And at 5 o'clock, the parade will kick off. And like I said, we'll be coming down Mechanic Street, coming up through the center of town. Those that have young folks that need to get off their floats and want to come back and walk into the center of town may do so safely here in the lower parking lot. And those want to park early, they can do so over at Four Brothers, because Four Brothers is offering this year Polar Express on the big screen. And that movie time is going to start at 6 o'clock. I do know between the time frame of 5:30 and 6, there may be another special guest who is jolly, wears a red sweater, some, very unique facial features, and is very jolly. So if you miss visiting that friend over at Great Cape at 3 o'clock, there is a second opportunity to see him at a very special location right here at Four Brothers. So that'll conclude the town clerk's exciting report of all of our holiday activities this month.
Is there a Recreation Commission report? No.
I received one, and Paul's not here.
Okay, resolution number?
We're going to be starting this evening 85.
May I?
Certainly.
Resolution number 85 of 2022, authorizing the renewal of the dog control housing agreement with Pine Plains Veterinary Associates, PC. Whereas the town of Amenia is required by Town Code in Article 7 of the Agriculture and Markets Law of the State of New York to perform certain services with respect to dog control, and whereas the Town of Amenia Animal Control Officer, ACO, is empowered to seize dogs pursuant to the provisions of Agriculture and Markets Law, Article 7, Section 117, and whereas pursuant to Agriculture and Markets Law, Article 7, Section 117, dogs seized by the ACO are required to be properly fed and watered during the applicable redemption period. And whereas Pine Plains Veterinary Associates, PC, maintains a kennel for boarding of dogs at its office located at 2826 Church Street, Pine Plains, New York 12567. And whereas the Town Board, by Resolution Number 18 of 2021, previously authorized a contract with Pine Plains Veterinary Associates, PC, to provide shelter for dogs seized by the ACO through December 31st, 2022. And whereas the Town Board wishes to renew its agreement with the Pine Plains Veterinary Associates, PC, to shelter, water, feed, and provide necessary veterinary services for dogs seized by the ACO. And whereas the Pine Plains Veterinary Associates, PC, has presented an agreement to the town, a copy of which is affixed here too. And whereas the town determines that it is in the best interest of the town to enter into said agreement as above described. Now therefore be it resolved as follows: the recitations set forth are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein, that the town board hereby approves the agreement for dog control housing in the form annexed here to, and authorizes and directs the supervisor to execute the agreement by and on behalf of the town of Amenia. That the town supervisor, upon consultation with the attorney to the town, is authorized to negotiate or clarify any wording, provided the overall expense and liability of the town is consistent with the provisions contained in the agreement. That the town supervisor is hereby directed to provide a copy of the agreement signed by all parties to the town clerk, who shall maintain the same in her files. I'll make that motion.
Second?
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Revellard?
Yes.
Keep going. Resolution number 86 of 2022, resolution authorizing contract with Uncharted Power, Inc. for grant writing and data services to secure state and federal grant funding. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia is seeking grant writing services in the form of grant loan application writing, performing grant loan advocacy, and grant loan filing services to obtain grant funding now available to improve the Town of Amenia's water system infrastructure. And whereas the federal government has recently passed the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act, creating a once-in-a-generation opportunity to obtain grant funding for critical infrastructure improvements. And whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia has obtained a proposal from Uncharted Power, Inc. to provide grant loan application writing, grant loan advocacy, and grant loan filing services, in addition to providing data services to improve the Town of Amenia's access to grant processes for future endeavors and grant applications. The proposal is annexed here too and made a part hereof, and whereas the services to be provided by Uncharted Power, Inc. to the town constitute professional services which are exempt from the bidding requirements under General Municipal Law Section 103 and the Town of Amenia procurement policy. Now therefore be it resolved that the recitations set forth are incorporated in this resolution as if fully set forth and adopted herein, that the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes a contract with Uncharted Power, Inc. to provide grant writing services in accordance with the proposal annexed hereto and made a part hereof in the amount not to exceed $75,000 for services through December 31st, 2023. That the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute a contract for such services after review by the attorney to the town in substantially the same form as the proposal annexed hereto. That the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes and directs payments for Uncharted Power, Inc. services to be paid from the blank
Administration CE line,
administration
CE.
CE budget line number
1.083104.06.
oh boy 1.083
1.083104.06.
104.06. I'll read that again in its entirety. Budget line number 1.083104.06 in accordance with the annexed proposal. That the town supervisor, upon consultation with the attorney to the town, is authorized to negotiate and clarify any wording, provided the overall expense and liability of the town is consistent with the provisions contained in the proposal. I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it because I have some comments. I spoke to Victoria earlier today. There were some minor questions I had about Uncharted, and you're here, so that's good. But the biggest one is that the way the contract was written, it's only for water grants for the water system. We have a whole bunch of other projects that would not be covered by that, like the highway garage, the wastewater system, the kitchen here, the Main Street improvements. There's a whole bunch of other things that we may want to apply for grants for. And so I think we either need to have that included in the contract or we have to look at other options. Because this year is really critical because of the infrastructure bill for grants. And I was very insistent that we hire a grant writer, but it was not with the idea that it was just going to be for one project because there's too much need.
I think we did discuss this, but I think you might not have been here that night, Leo. But when we did discuss their proposal after they had made the proposal, we did discuss that the water district had unique needs and that it would be good to have this firm dedicate their efforts towards that. But with the agreement that we had other needs and we would need to look for a grant writer or some help.
Yeah, I mean, we either have to hire someone separately to be a grant writer or we need to change their contract so that they do more than just the wastewater, just the water system.
And they did comment on it.
George, did you want to
Yeah.
address this? We have someone here from Uncharted.
Sure. George Cronk with Uncharted. The initial effort has been focused on the water and establishing a good working relationship on the water system and the grant offerings that we're looking for specifically for that. So we're certainly in a position we would expand the contract if you wanted to do that, but I think the board wanted to make sure that we had a good working relationship before we expanded any services. We certainly have the capability of expanding that.
So the platform you use to input data, does that make it, I would assume that makes it significant, once you have to do that for the town, and once you do that, presumably writing other grants is made much easier, right?
Correct. So if you're, it's kind of a value system in the sense that if you're working on one grant, there's a certain amount of upfront cost to any grant. But moving forward, some of the data is repetitive. Now, if you're talking about going from a water system to a highway, there is some data that is repetitive, but there's certainly, ultimate infrastructure itself is not overlapping. So those components would still be separate.
Okay.
But there certainly would be value in expanding those services at some point. Yeah.
Damien, is your sense that we should find a separate grant writer, that we should just do that separately?
That was kind of the general, I mean, now I'm speaking, but that's what I took away from our conversation, that we were going to hire this team to focus on the water district, and then we were going to, because the contract they proposed is large as it is, and so expanding that scope to incorporate other aspects seemed challenging, and they did want to focus on water, and we did get good references from them in that regard. So having them focus on water seemed good, but understanding that we have other needs specific that are going to be happening next year, we need to find some help.
I mean, because we've only allocated $10,000 for grant writing.
I thought we increased that. Did we increase that?
I looked at it this morning. I could be wrong.
Well, there's 10,000 in the budget, but
10,000 in the budget, right.
And I think,
but we can use ARPA funds.
I think the other there were some time constraints with these water projects, and I think that is a big issue as well that we
Yeah.
discussed.
So the idea is to get underway in December this month to make sure that we can hit the deadlines, because our first round of deadlines is going to be in March, and then there's another round in June. So those are the two bigger milestones to be hitting. With highway funding, a lot of times that comes through TAPs or other funding sources that are going to be from the federal level. That's not on the same exact timeline. So, if you want to start exploring that, we can certainly do that at this time, but we have been hyper-focused on the water.
Well, the wastewater system, I think, is similar in terms of the places that comes from.
So we've talked internally about that strategy. Our consensus is that the water system is the town's highest priority right now, related to wastewater as well. And our opinion is that if you're going to apply for both, you're competing against yourself.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Personally, I don't agree with that, because that was not something that I was asked about. I mean, not about the competition, about the fact that it's the highest priority. It's certainly a high priority, but to assume that that's all we need to worry about in terms of getting grant funds, I think is kind of insane. I mean, I really think that that's incredibly short-sighted, and
You don't think water should be our highest priority?
no, I think the water system needs help, but I think wastewater has held this town back for 60 years. And there's a lot of money out there in the infrastructure bill. So I think to decide that we're just going to kind of throw all the money at water without, I mean, I don't remember a discussion about that as a board.
No, we didn't discuss that, and I don't think that's what we're talking about. We're just talking about having this team focus on the water district. We have, it's so close to $500,000 in back maintenance and repairs that we have to do, or I forget what the last estimate was for.
Well, I recognize that. I mean, I've been speaking to Marco, and I was the one who pushed to make sure we had an engineer's report so that we could apply for that money, so that we could get listed as on the IUP. So it's not like I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, no, that's not.
But it is a problem, and it shouldn't have been neglected for as many years, which makes me a little bit nervous about Marco, because these problems have existed for at least, I mean, some of them are recent, but most of them existed for decades. So
it has been a long-standing problem. Marco and his partner did come and present to the board with a preliminary assessment of all of the back projects that they would like to do. They didn't have the funding to do, but before your time on the board, this goes back 2-3 years. So that has been unknown. But I think we're agreeing. I am comfortable voting yes to engage with this firm if they're going to be focused on water. If we want to expand the scope with this firm, that's not something we discussed previously, and I would not be comfortable.
Okay, well, my concern is that I don't like that we are pretending that that's the only need we have. And that no, wait a minute, that we're signing a contract with a firm to just do that at a very steep price, and that we've just, we have no plans whatsoever for all the other projects, and especially the wastewater system, which we've been talking about as a priority for decades, and we never managed to do, in large part because of funding. So I'm actually really furious that the board is willing to just sort of ignore that and hire a firm to focus on one thing when there's a whole lot of needs that could get money from the infrastructure funds. I think that's really problematic, and it makes me very angry. So just FYI.
You had provided a quote from another.
Yeah, and it was never,
Yeah,
and it
why
never went
don't
any
we
further. They weren't asked to come
say-
in.
We understand wastewater, or water needs a big shot in the arm to get some of these capital projects underway sooner rather than later, and make it the vote tonight contingent upon the fact that we all agree that wastewater is equally important, but not as desperately needed immediately. It's gone for 60 years, but it has to happen. So why don't we interview your second, your idea for an additional consultant, which seems crazy to hire 2 consultants, but if you've just said that if we use your firm, you're going to focus on the water, and you have really tight deadlines, so you're going to put everything into that. But
We're
does it,
a multi-firm, person firm, so many grant services are typically 1 or 2 people, but we do bring to the table a whole team of people. We certainly provide services to other municipalities as well.
Well, you were asked to focus on the water,
So
and
we
that isn't your
could
issue.
start looking into that, but that, as of today, that's not
not on the table?
what the
Right.
contract proposal is.
So I would say that I would be in favor of going ahead and getting them started, given the timeline is very tight for them to get started on the water district, with the contingency that if we can use more ARP funds to augment the $10,000 line for the wastewater engineer, or whatever we need to do for grant writing,
That would make more sense.
then we would be able to bump up the budget line to 30, 40,000, whatever we need to get the wastewater
I don't think that
grants
can be like
underway.
an if.
one
we
way or
do
another,
this.
with one
Well,
firm or
there's
another.
money in
just
the
have to do it.
wastewater line.
I'm sorry?
There was money put in the wastewater line.
Can you,
You're talking about for
Charlie.
wastewater?
Why are you talking out from the audience? You're not supposed to do that. And there's no reason I have to keep telling you that. If you have something to say, go to the microphone.
There are only 3 major grants for drinking water and wastewater that can be applied for, correct? There is the state revolving fund, which is where you would get the BIL money, which would pay for 50% as grants, and that is a 5-page application. And it has a point system that is very straightforward. I can understand getting a grant writer to do that, but that's not outrageous. The budget for the water, what is it? Is it 13 million? How much is the engineering report?
I think it was 14. What was wastewater? It was just 2.
Wastewater is just below 20, but I think the
Yeah, it
drinking
was
water
like-
full
it was
system
like-
is 13 or 14 million dollars,
Something
right?
like that, yeah.
So you can get 50% through the BIL. You can get 25, I guess you can get a little bit more through WIA. Those are the only 2 major grants you can get. This isn't rocket science. I'm a little confused why it's $75,000 too, truthfully, because it's almost all based off of your engineering report. So just to bring some clarity, unless you want to.
So our understanding is that there's going to be more than the 2 grants or 3 grants that was mentioned. And we're also not providing just filling out the 5-page application. So if you've done these grant processes, it's not a 5-page application. There's an intense amount of work that is put into making those grants. You know, a lot of times these are this thick, you know, so it's not a 5-page process. At the end of the day, the actual application may only be 5 pages, but there is an immense amount of work that goes in with that. The second part is that at the federal level, which is where we're going to be also focused on, is right now those monies are being passed through to the state revolving fund, which is typically how most water and sewer type projects have been funded. At the federal level, they are talking about other ways of being able to pass those monies through, because they're finding that it's following the same process that it has for decades at this point. So again, we have members from our company that sit on various boards at a federal level. So, in our position, we have the ability to get information relatively quickly to find out that. And, again, our initial approach here is to build a working relationship, start building the database with the municipality here, and then to be able to expand those services or add other services down the road for other years to come. So if you want to move something up faster, we can look at doing that. But that's not what was being in this particular contract.
No, I understand that you weren't asked to do that. The problem is here as a board that I don't remember deciding that the water system should be the one focus of our.
We didn't decide that.
Well, then why were they given that charge?
I mean, when they came in and they presented to us,
Yeah.
and how they arrived to present to us, you have to ask Victoria that. But when we asked them about their experience and when we looked at their references, it was really water related. And so we thought that'd be a good fit for that. Not at the expense of anything else, not at the expense of hiring somebody else to help us with grant writing for the wastewater. Just that was their area of expertise. And we all acknowledged that it was expensive, but we acknowledged that the water district had some pretty severe needs. So I haven't gone through the budget process. We have put a lot of money into the wastewater line as far as engineering goes this year. I agree that we should interview the firm that you found that came highly recommended. We should do that. And so the conversation we had last time that you weren't part of, there was no discussion about prioritizing the water district over wastewater.
Right, but that's the contract that was what was in their proposal, was just to focus on, it's very clear that it's just about the water system.
That was their area. Again, I feel weird defending this because that's what they came to us with as their area of expertise. And so we assigned them to the task that.
They also went on their own, and they looked at our IUP for water, which scored a very low 40.
Yes, I know.
Well, we're not going to get money. And as far as the water district has very clear needs. We need to drill new wells to make sure we have adequate water for the existing water district. We need a new water tank.
Right.
These are high-price items.
Yes, and so is the wastewater system. Which
The wastewater system does not exist now. The water district does exist.
Right.
And it has major needs now.
Okay, Victoria, I know that this is your highest priority, and I know
It's
it has
not
been
my
for a long
highest
time.
priority, it's the town's.
I don't know that that's true, Victoria. I think that
Might I say that there are some issues with the wastewater that are we don't have all of our ducks in a row in that, the way I understand. For example, I don't know that 3.9 acre piece of land for the wastewater plant has been secured.
Well, oddly enough, we had a communication this week from the owner who was interested in the town making an offer on that parcel. So if the town board is willing to take that step and let them at least have a conversation with them to get an idea of cost, then that makes one of those things go away. We don't have the land for the water system yet either.
Right. So what I'm saying, what is on that could be the case as well. But the point is, I think that what we have on the table right now, Leo, and maybe I'm oversimplifying this, but I feel water first is the biggest priority this town. There are some time frames that have been described quite clearly. We've discussed this quite at length.
I watched the meetings.
Right, and I really do feel that, and again, it keeps going through my mind, I feel silly saying it, you can't have waste water without water. And it just keeps going through my head. It's an oversimplification, I get it. But that's in my heart how I feel about
Look,
it.
our water system is not in good shape, but we have a wastewater committee that's been working very hard. The water does not have a water committee. No one has been spending time on that and researching that and making a lot of effort on that. The wastewater committee has been working very hard on the assumption that the town board is going to support them in trying to get a wastewater system, which we've been told for decades is essentially any economic development here. I just don't understand why there's a question about this. I mean, there's an enormous amount of money available from the infrastructure funds, and the idea that we're going to like focus on the water system and maybe see if we can get someone to write a couple of little grants for everything else is infuriating to me. Infuriating, because that's
Little
not at all
little
fair.
grants? We need millions of dollars. What little grants?
That's what I'm saying, but you're willing to spend $75,000 on water, and there's no money put aside for the wastewater system or any of the other needs in the town. I think that's really bad.
So,
Well,
there
part
is.
of the proposal, if you don't mind me interjecting, is that through this process, and when the funds are secured, is that the cost for writing the grants and getting the funds in place and set up is going to be reimbursed back through the program that's set up, and you're allowed to do that. That's you know, it's right in the guidelines.
Right.
And then the idea was to take those funds and again and you know, work on the next component. I don't know if, I mean, it's a strategy the town will have to decide. Do you want to work on 6 projects at once, or do you want to focus on one, get it going, and then focus on the next and the next and the next? And that's a strategy the town has to take. But, you know, our proposal is based upon starting with one. We know we can get a better score, a better value, you know, or higher rating for the grant proposal for the water.
Right.
An existing system always scores better than a non-existing system given certain certain circumstances. And you know, and then you can start looking for, you know, other components of the grants. And again, at a federal level, some of the programs are not as well spelled out right now. New York happens to have the SRF funding process in place to help move the water and the wastewater through their system a little bit better. We know that the feedback right now we're getting at the federal level is they're not crazy about the speed or the process of it. I mean, if you went into the recent awardings for New York State for all the SRF fundings that came out a week or two ago, the majority of the stuff was not funded simply because it scored low and they had a cap that hit, which means that they haven't passed a fair amount of that money down through, which means there's a concern about their process. So we want to make sure that we score very well on the first one, and then the idea would be, you know, move forward with the next project and the next project. It doesn't mean we have to wait a whole year to start the next component. You know, if we can get to a certain set of milestones where we feel that you know, the board is comfortable working with us, we can certainly, you know, work on additional grant offerings. But it has been focused on the water.
Okay, just to try to wrap this up a little bit, but I don't agree with the characterization that we're prioritizing this over anything else. We did put how much do we have in the budget for wastewater engineering for next year?
I
I think it was 20 or 10
20
or
or
something. It wasn't very
30,000.
much. 10.
There's 32.
82. Is that the next piece of that's the next piece of
The study,
engineering.
right. So
we haven't
80
put money, as far as I know, towards the water engineering, which obviously is going to be a big chunk of money as well.
I'm just saying that we can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? Like, we have a million big projects going on. We have the town highway. We have budgeted 80 some odd thousand for wastewater engineering, and we're just taking this step to help address a very long-standing dire need in the water district.
Yes, my concern is that there isn't a plan for all the other needs, that the idea that the town would spend this much money on one thing when we know there are other projects that need to be
We're
dealt with.
spending $82,000 on wastewater engineering next year.
I'm
That's what we
talking
budgeted.
about grant writing, specifically grant writing in years when we have money, there's federal infrastructure money, there's state money, there's county money, and we're basically putting everything into water, which is very important, but like that didn't have to be that way. That was a board decision to focus on that one thing and not to make a plan.
It
for the
was
other.
a
Not a
need.
board decision.
I'm sorry?
It's a need.
Yes, it is a need, but so is wastewater since 1961. I mean, it's just.
We're talking about there is no wastewater district. There is a water district. There's 300 customers who depend on water and decent infrastructure, and it isn't there. We have quality water, yes, but we need wells. We need to improve the infrastructure. We need another water tank. This is an existing need. We can't just, say it, okay, we'll just make it 1 or 2. It isn't something that we wanted to prioritize, but it's there. The problems are there, and we need to deal with them. We
I
can't
understand
just
that.
say, not deal with them.
No, but I mean, what I'm concerned about is that there's no plan for anything besides water, and that's kind of incumbent on the board to think about that. I mean, like, it just is unbelievable to me that was as far as we went.
I am, being on the board, do support wholeheartedly this wastewater project and its success. And I was on the committee myself, I think, in 2012, and we've tried for a lot of years to get this through. I am wholeheartedly a supporter. But I think Victoria just said it best. We have an existing major problem right now that we have to address.
Yeah, but that doesn't have to happen to the exclusion of wastewater.
And I don't think anybody's...
Who is
yeah.
excluding
Nobody's
anything?
Their grant, I mean, their proposal is just for the water system. There's no reason that they were asked to do just that one thing. There's no reason that we didn't bring in someone else to do both. That was a board decision or a supervisor decision to, like, make that what we asked them to do.
There's been no board decision. We're in the middle of the vote right now, so we'll see how the vote turns out. But I think not to use too simple an example here. If you have a broken toilet, you hire a plumber to fix the broken toilet. Doesn't mean you can't also hire an electrician to fix your other thing that's broken over there. I mean, we can interview the firm.
But you haven't made any, I mean, like, the point is that this is moving ahead and there's no plan to interview anyone else, to hire someone else. There's no budget line. I mean, we just finished budgeting. I mean, I don't understand that there isn't some skin in the game in terms of the wastewater system. I mean, this has been, a need forever. There may finally be the money in the pipeline to do it, and it just got skipped over. That's not acceptable to me.
I don't think so.
Wasn't there IUPs done for wastewater?
Yeah, the IUP was done, but we don't have money to pursue it with grants.
Who said we didn't have money?
Well, I don't know. When I told you originally, the other firm said $28,000. You said we didn't have that, and now this is $75,000, and they're only focusing on one thing. So something just seems really problematic to me about this. And if we adjusted the resolution so that it said that we are spending this money with the assumption that we are going to have to spend money on a grant writer for the wastewater system, I could live with that. But I can't live with giving a yes to this and not having any plan for the rest, for what that's worth.
Nina, you want to go to the podium?
If it would be possible for you to maybe describe a little bit more about the effort that goes in, the $75,000 effort that goes into preparing just that one grant given?
It's not one grant.
It's a number of grants.
It's a number of
A
grants.
number of different grants. All right.
Yes,
And
it's whatever is available, whatever grants that we qualify for.
So
And there are several.
And that's listed in the proposal, what that would include and what the
Yeah.
Yes.
examples. Okay.
They
all right.
did a
Can you
presentation
give a little brief primer on that? I mean, I apologize that I wasn't at the presentation or didn't see it, but can you just run down that a little bit so that, I think, given the conversation that a lot of the water work has already been done, and now they're at the point, it's emergent, and you're at the point where you're just hiring somebody to prepare a grant application?
No,
that-
actually, to pull together all the information that we need for the water district in order to score higher and at least have a fighting chance.
So there's more
to get the
analysis
grants.
that needs to get done?
Yes,
Your
they're
firm does
actually
the
going to be
analysis.
putting together a platform. They're going to take all the information there is available about the water district, put it in a platform, and everything on that platform would be available to the town, forever, for whatever,
At an
purpose it.
additional charge at what I remember.
No, there
watching
is
the
not.
meeting.
There's no additional charge for the,
I
For
thought
the-
to use the platform, they said that they would
No.
come up with something. Okay, I'll play it back and
So,
I'll
okay,
I'll
so-
send that to you anyway.
Sorry, based,
There's no additional charge to use the platform.
For the first year, a big part of this building
yeah.
Go ahead.
And can you just run through like what analysis your company does?
if the board would like me to, I would.
Yeah, that was-
So, one of the major components of the set of services being
I'm sorry, can
offered-
you hold on for 1 second?
We have a vote, a second, the board's discussing. This is now going to, we're way off track on process.
We've had a presentation.
Yeah,
I
this-
saw the
yeah.
presentation. I watched the presentation. I heard what the questions were, but it was all about water, and that is something that is just not acceptable.
And Leo,
If this is adjusted to say that we're going to spend an equivalent amount of money on the wastewater system, and that presumably we would get that back from the grantee as well, then that's a different story. But if this is just like by itself, and there's no commitment to doing that, then I can't vote for it. Which may not make a difference, but.
so that's the conversation we had that last meeting. I said basically the same thing. I said it is a lot of money. It is a lot of money. I said that I would be comfortable hiring them to focus on the water district if we also paid due attention to the wastewater and the other grant writing needs that we have, because our grant writing support has been lacking over the last year or two. So we did have that conversation, and again, I'm not, I don't think the gentleman should go through the whole presentation again. I'm happy to send you the link to the recording, but I want you to know I'm fully sympathetic to your perspective, and I had the same concerns last time, but I don't feel that because we're hiring this firm to focus on the water district, we cannot, nor we just will forget or something to hire somebody to
Well,
focus on
again,
this.
I think the resolution could say that. I don't think there's any reason that we couldn't say that we're also expecting to spend money on a grant writer for the other needs of the town.
That does not have to be in this resolution. This resolution is strictly on uncharted, and we don't need a resolution if we want to have other grant companies and grant writers come in and interview
Okay.
and hire them. Nobody is saying, okay, this is it, this is the only outfit that's ever going to do a grant for us. That isn't what we're saying.
All
I
right,
have
well, then,
one
yes.
comment that since we have someone here from Uncharted who can explain this a little bit, but there was an email from Nick Navarro from Uncharted who said that one of his bullet points of what they were going to do in consideration of the evaluation of the potential partnership with us was to our water and sewer grant expert is so optimistic about grant opportunities for the town of Amenia, he has also offered a preliminary assessment of sewer grant opportunities for the town of Amenia as part of this pilot partnership, which we can provide in Q1, 2023. I suppose what has happened is that Victoria said, no, let's not do that part. Is that what it came about?
No,
How
I
come
never
we
said any
didn't?
such thing. I
Follow
didn't
up
tell
on
them
that.
not to do that.
But it's not in the proposal.
No, it's not in the proposal, because apparently, I mean, they did say that they would be happy is so optimistic about grant opportunities for the town of Amenia, he's offered a preliminary assessment of sewer grant opportunities for the town of Amenia as part of this pilot partnership, which we can provide in Q1, 2023. That was bullet number 4 of an email.
So if you'd like to add that to the proposal and contract, we certainly would not have a problem with that. That doesn't mean that we're completing that. We're
No,
doing a
but I would say a
assessment.
preliminary assessment of where we're at and what our opportunities
I mean,
are.
right off the top of my head, if you're looking at a sewer district, have you already formed the district yet?
No.
So if you haven't done that, it's definitely not on the same time track as the water system, by any stretch of the
Right, but it is within a few months because we've done all the outreach, whatever. Anyway.
We can provide that in an assessment because,
Okay.
again, forming a district is is a lengthy process. You know, I'm
Well,
sure you
if
guys
that
have
were,
been through
if
it.
that were included in your scope, if at least the first quarter analysis were included in your scope, then I could vote for that, but
We need to
having
know
nothing,
this
I can't.
information. I'm sorry, 75,000 is a lot of money for us, so I apologize that we're going a little long on this motion, but I think all of this information is very important before we vote. Sorry. I would be very interested in getting this added to the resolution so that we are clear that what he proposed back in November, we can go ahead and get started, add that to our list of
Deliverables.
deliverables.
Sure.
It was offered, why didn't we accept?
So feel free to add it.
And
Can we do that tonight? It's in writing.
But, I believe so, but you should ask.
Can we
the
do-
attorney.
I would say
Well, then
conditional, I would
my-
vote yes, conditional
Wait a
upon
minute,
getting that.
I know, but wait a minute, we can't just do that.
My
What's the proper way to do
My
it?
comment would be, the board has a couple options here. They could withdraw the motion and withdraw the resolution, table it, get the additional information that the board appears to be wanting at this point in a conversation. Because it doesn't appear the board's ready to vote on this particular resolution. So it would, I think, be wise for the board to withdraw this, table it, get the additional information, whatever it might be. We can set a direction, the board can set a direction for Uncharted to,
Yeah, but we can't table it, then it has to stay as is. We'd have to withdraw it first.
withdraw it, vote it down. You can revisit it once you get the additional information the board's looking for. I mean, the
Well, that
board
would
can
also
decide
give us
it.
enough time. Victoria said she had she was given another suggestion for a grant writer, and I had given her one. We could, I'm sure, get them to the next meeting so that we have that information as well.
But what do you want to do with this particular resolution? Do you want to, first of all, I think we need to vote, right?
We're in the middle of a vote. Yeah, we
Yeah.
need to vote.
Well, I mean, unless you withdraw it, but yes, the next.
Because we
Well, I
can't,
can
you
move that
can't,
seconded.
you can,
So,
you
at
can't
this
take,
point,
yes, but you can't, we have to vote. We can't table
That's what I'm
something
saying.
in the middle of a vote. We can't do that.
but if the board wants to obtain the additional information, the vote would, I would vote no on the resolution. The resolution fails, you get the additional information, whatever that information is, it
And
comes
then,
before the board, and then we...
represent it
proceed.
at the next meeting. How, is that all right? Is that what you
How
guys
does
want to
this
do?
affect our timeframe for the grants?
So what's happening is every week that goes by, because we, talked about doing this back in October, November, is we're losing time to hit the first set of milestones. So, we're still going to commit to making this work if we got to extend it another week. But, if this drags into January, you're going to...
No, we're planning on, well, what we'll do is, if it's all right with the rest of the board, we'll withdraw this resolution.
Vote it down.
We'll vote it down. And then we'll present another resolution with
The stuff that Vicki had.
the
noted.
other, whatever that amount thing was in there, that Vicky's quoting.
And
I did not tell them not to put it
Okay,
in there.
I'm just sorry that we didn't go ahead and accept that, and that was November 23rd.
Except
Was
what?
that?
Accept their offer to provide an assessment of our grant opportunities for the sewer, a preliminary assessment of sewer grant opportunities for the town of Amenia. If we can add that into this contract and accept that offer as of November 23rd, I'll forward it to you, town board.
Yeah, I don't know if you can add that in right now or if you need to wait for another week. I mean, that's up to the
I don't know.
board here, yeah.
I would vote
We
yes,
certainly would
conditional
agree to
upon that.
That additional scope.
Is that something we could add? Well, first of all, we can't do anything until we vote.
Well, there could be an amendment to the current motion, and there could be a vote on the amendment, and if the amendment passes, then you could vote to approve the amended resolution. My only caution on that is if we're adding additional services, is that affecting our contract at all? That I don't know, because then the board would be voting on a proposal that's here
Right.
that might be substantially different if there's additional costs associated with that. I don't know that.
There'd be no change in fee for the scope that's being described.
So let's
He's
do this.
offered it for
I'll
free.
amend it. Let's just, how about I do that? You ready, Vicky? I have your email. Should I do
Okay.
it? So I'm
I
going to
can-
amend my motion to resolution number 86, authorizing the contract with Uncharted Power, Inc., to include everything as read previously with the, I'm just getting down to your bullet here.
It's the fourth one, I think. 1, 2, 4. With the proviso that they also include a preliminary assessment of sewer grant opportunities with the town of Amenia as part of this pilot partnership in Q1 2023.
Did you send that to all of us?
I did.
Oh, here it is.
And Victoria, if we can get the information, if you can contact the grant people you had mentioned to me, that you were given a reference for someone, another grant writer for the other stuff, and I'll contact the people that I had spoken to.
Yeah, we'll see if they can come in
Yeah, we'll see if they
the
can
next
come in.
meeting and
Okay.
we can interview.
Okay,
Yes, for
cool.
some
Okay.
reason, meeting.
Yep, now I can
Everybody
go
good?
for it.
But I just want you to see it live.
So are we good with my amendment as read by Vicky? That addition to Uncharted scope?
Was it, you made the motion to amend, did someone second? Was it,
I don't have a second
I'll
yet.
second.
Supervisor Prody?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Rebelard?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes, you changed the sequence.
And if you,
That's what's
I
throwing
know,
me
because they
off.
switched seats, and if you guys be so kind to
I'm
forward
forwarding it. I'm
the
forwarding
item,
it now.
so it doesn't have to say.
Thank you.
and then we would need a vote
Okay.
on the,
No, keep going. You have to do it one more time.
Huh?
You accepted the amendment.
so now the resolution's been amended. Now you have to vote on
Now we have to vote
as
on the
amended.
resolution
move-
as amended.
Just say as amended,
I move to,
Damian.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution number 86 as amended.
Second.
Supervisor Prody?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Rebelard?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Shall I proceed?
Certainly.
Please.
Resolution number 87 of 2022, resolution authorizing contract with Capital Markets Advisors LLC for strategic consulting services in connection with the American Rescue Plan Act funds. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Amenia is seeking strategic consulting services in connection with the town's receipt of funding under the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, and whereas the town anticipates an allocation of federal relief aid to offset the various economic and financial effects associated with the COVID-19 pandemic and will need assistance with the administration, compliance reporting, and monitoring of the ARPA funds, and whereas Capital Market Advisors LLC, CMA, has prepared and submitted a contract proposal to the Town Board of the Town of Amenia for strategic consulting services, a copy of which is annexed here too and made a part hereof. And whereas the strategic consulting services to be provided by the town constitute professional services which are exempt from the bidding requirements under General Municipal Law Section 103 and the Town of Amenia's procurement policy. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. The recitations set forth or incorporated in this resolution is fully set forth and adopted herein. 2, that the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby awards a contract to Capital Markets Advisors LLC to provide strategic consulting services in connection with the administration, compliance, reporting, and the monitoring of ARPA funds in accordance with the proposal annexed here too. 3, that the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes the supervisor to execute a contract for such services after review by the attorney of the town in substantially the same form as the October 24th, 2022 proposal, which is annexed here too. 4, that the Town Board of the Town of Amenia hereby authorizes and direct payments for the strategic consulting services to be paid from the
Fiscal agent fees.
fiscal
Agent
agent
fees line.
fees.
1.013804.01.
Okay. To be paid from the fiscal agent fee, budget line number 1.0138 04.01. I'll read that again. To be paid from the fiscal agent fee, budget line number 1.013804.01, in accordance with the fee schedule set forth in the annexed proposal. 5, that the town supervisor, upon consultation with the attorney of the town, is authorized to negotiate and clarify any wording provided the overall expense and liability of the town is consistent with the provisions contained in the proposal.
I'll second that.
I don't know how much this is.
$250 per hour.
Yeah.
They're billable in 10-minute increments each month.
Vicki, I'm sorry, I can't hear it through the...
$250 per hour is their services. They do not have a capped fee
That's our piece.
that I see.
What they're basically going to help me do is, I have done all the paperwork to get the funds, to send all the information that the state required, and also sent all the information to the Treasury that was sent to the state, and that the state Treasury required. They wanted a report done with the funds that we received and what we had do with them and what we were planning to do with them in April, which I did. However, it's a very complicated process when you're actually going to use the funds, like moving them into another district, or how you're going to actually take the funds out and how to account for them. There's, you know, a way you have to report to the state, and it's a very complicated process. One of the first webinars I went to on these funds was with Senator Schumer, who said, get help. And that's who, the city of Poughkeepsie, I talked to Dr. Martinez, this is who they are using. We've had capital market advisors probably for 10 years. But you don't want to, you know, use funds that they don't feel that you should use them because they'll take the money back. So I want to make sure that, you know, we were advised properly on handling these funds.
And this was Michael Torsh's proposal? Michael Torsha? That was his proposal?
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Is there a motion?
Did you make a motion?
I did not.
He did not, but you said second. I was going to call you out on it. You were so
Oh.
I
excited.
thought somebody said.
He was just reading it.
Oh, just reading it, okay.
Do you make the motion?
I will make the motion.
So I have a question also.
Discussion.
Where, did RBT, they just don't have the skills on their
No.
team?
No.
And they recommended?
The only thing they can tell us is how to, what accounting line to use.
Okay. They really don't have expertise in this?
No, they don't. I checked.
Okay.
Supervisor Perotti?
Yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Remillard?
Yes.
Blackman?
Yes.
Resolution number 88 of 2022, transfer of funds for November 2nd, 2022. Whereas the town board has the authority to transfer funds when necessary or unanticipated to amend the budget, and whereas the budget amendment of the highway fund increasing expense line 90608.03 medical insurance highway by $11,524.04 and decreasing expense line 90608.03.037 medical insurance highway deductible by $4,000 and decreasing expense line 90108.03 state retirement by $7,524.04 for change in insurance benefits from single to family. Whereas budget amendment in the general fund increasing expense line 90608.01 medical insurance town by $747.42 and decreasing expense line 90108.01 state retirement by $747.42 for additional cost. Whereas budget amendment in the water fund increasing expense line 83204.06 source power pump CE by $2,374.72 and decreasing expense line 83202.06 source pump
source power pump EQ by $2,374.72 for unanticipated expenses. Whereas budget amendment in the water fund, increasing expense line 83304.06.117 purification CE laboratory by $2,848 and decreasing expense line 83304.06.116 purification CE chemicals by $1,082 and decreasing expense line 83202.06 source power pump EQ by $1,766 for additional laboratory expenses. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board authorizes the transfer of necessary budget lines to process the transactions. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that. And Victoria, just in simple terms, this is making adjustments. The first two paragraphs about insurance having to do with the water district, and the second one is about
Which
equipment or
one?
purchases. I'm sorry, the first two paragraphs are about...
The first two paragraphs, we had there was someone in the highway department who got married.
Okay.
So he
That's
changed
simple.
so it changed from single to
Okay, got it.
family.
Mazel
So we
tov.
Got
had to
it,
make
great.
the corresponding adjustments. And our laboratory expenses have probably tripled because the Department of Health keeps changing how much more. First, they started out with CFOAs and PFOAs,
I've been reading
and now there's other things they want you to test for.
Got it.
In addition to that, they have lowered the threshold of how much that can be, and so they require new tests for that. So our
Okay.
laboratory tests have tripled,
Good, okay, thank you.
Supervisor Perotti?
yes.
Councilpersons Doyle?
Yes.
Gutierrez?
Yes.
Fablelaro?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Now, other matters, we had, a few weeks ago, we had Habitat for Humanity do a, go through exactly what they, what they do and what they were interested in doing, and they're particularly interested in a piece of land that the town currently owns, because they want to put an affordable housing there. So I had Ian check, because they were looking to see if we could donate it. I believe they have some funds for it. And I had Ian check into that to see what we could do. And also if, you were interested in pursuing this opportunity by Habitat for Humanity to build a home on that piece of property and provide affordable housing for Amenia. The property is right above the trailhead on the rail trail, and it's been a vacant town property for quite a while now.
And it's not easy to use because the wastewater committee looked at that and it was just too complicated. I mean, it's small, but it also has an odd topography, so it's not easy to use.
Yeah, they've researched it, and they feel they could put affordable housing
Yeah,
there.
I don't doubt that, that's great.
Sounds great.
I do hope they are cognizant of the fact that we have written for an $80,000 grant to have a
Yes, they are.
electric charging station. Okay.
I told them
Good,
that.
thank you.
Ian, what did you find out when you researched this, so everybody knows?
So there is an avenue. Generally, the town cannot donate land to not-for-profits. It would be an unconstitutional gift. So, but if it serves a public purpose and there is a public interest, and affordable housing has been deemed such an interest, there is an avenue that can be done. So if the board is interested in it, we can explore it further and continue the negotiation with Habitat.
Is that something the board is interested in doing?
Definitely
good.
interested in that, yeah.
Absolutely.
Do we need to make a motion or anything, or is that enough information?
Supervisor can authorize you to.
Yes, yeah, I mean, we're, at this point,
Well, I wanted
we're seeking
everybody to-
information at this point. There's no,
No, I just
I
didn't know whether
wasn't
we need to
making the
make a
decision by
motion to
myself.
say
I
that.
wanted everybody to,
No, I think that's great.
That's
That's
great.
really great.
I mean, this is a wonderful opportunity that came to this part of the county and said, and she did mention when she was here that they were salivating over this piece of land. So it sounds like this is something they really want to do in Amenia.
So the only caveat I would have is that definitely the water district looked at that as a possibility for well water, as a potential alternative place for the current wells that are on Lavelle Road that are rusting and in wetland area. This is not appropriate for a
No.
potential site.
I think this.
No, it's not because of
There
the
needs to be a certain amount
septic.
of clearance around the wells, and it needed a bigger piece than that.
Yeah, there's septic there.
Especially because we have 2 wells that
We need a larger parcel.
Okay.
Well, they-
Our engineer looked at it.
Yeah.
Any other matters?
I just want to, now that we've been asked by the owner of the property that we'd like to use for housing, and we've actually applied for CB, no, I want to say
CDBG.
CBGB, but I know that's not right. We've applied for a grant to help purchase that property. Now the owner would like us to make an offer, and I don't know what the next step is. I mean, does that mean that the wastewater committee should the wastewater committee should continue a conversation with him? The amount that was allocated in our in the budgeting we did for wastewater, I think they had said $300,000 for that piece of property.
Well, before the town can purchase property, there
Right.
has to be a survey and appraisal. Isn't that correct? 'Cause
Yeah, the next step would be getting an appraisal.
Yeah, we need an appraisal
Okay.
and a survey too. We need a survey or just the appraisal?
Well, it may already be
Existing
surveyed.
survey?
Because we
Yeah,
had
you would have to
the
check to see
last
if there's-
land we were going to
Brad's
purchase
correct.
for
Check
the
if there's an
highway
existing
garage.
survey.
We had to get an
Yeah.
appraisal.
Yeah. So an existing survey and an appraisal. There's an existing survey.
There is an existing survey, or is there an
That's a
existing?
question.
Oh, that was the question. Charlie, do you know if there's an existing survey?
There's not a survey. The owner has asked us, because his attorney asked, that we submit an offer to him, which I think an offer can be contingent on an appraisal and a home inspection. Not an appraisal, I'm sorry, a survey, a home inspection, because there is a home on the property as well.
Well, as a municipality, we're required to do an appraisal before we purchase any property.
Right. So those 3 things, I'm saying that an offer can be done contingent on an appraisal, an inspection.
I don't know if
and
that's
a-
legal.
The
Ian?
the appraisal, you have to get an appraised value of the property before you can set a dollar amount to it. So that's going to tell you what the property value is. So the town couldn't, they would have to buy it at market value. So they have to find out what the market value is before they could even make an offer.
Okay, so
It
then.
determines the offer.
Okay,
essentially.
okay, good to know. So then, I suppose the wastewater committee and the housing board, because both have interest in this piece of property, would ask the board to authorize an appraisal to be done on the property, so that that can begin the process, and that our boards and committees can go back to the owner and say, the board is going to put together an appraisal for the property, and that will form the basis of our offer to you.
Ian, would you?
Does that sound right, Ian?
Would you need a survey as well before you take that step?
I would want to find out if there's an existing survey. And the town, before they even do all that, they may want to, you'd have a contingent on environmental and some other, there are contingencies you can throw in the contract. I think first,
We have to do the appraisal.
you're going to want to do the appraisal, and the town may want to get quotes from appraisers to get to authorize
How
an
much does
appraiser
that
to do it.
typically cost? An appraisal on a property with one house on it?
What
Any
was the
idea?
total
I
acreage?
think it depends
Oh, you
on
would
the
know.
size of the
What was the total
property.
acreage?
I would say it's anywhere from $800 to $1,500 would be my assumption.
What was the total acreage?
It's 3.5?
It's just shy of 4.
Yeah, you're probably looking at least $1,500, I would
Yeah,
think, yeah.
Okay.
For an appraisal, and then the survey would probably be
You could give
there.
us appraisals people?
Oh, sure.
You think?
I'm sure you
We use
could.
appraisal
pages
people
right now.
all the time. Don't we have appraisers that work on our sartorial cases? We have
You mean like
4
from
million
the tax- from
sartorial
taxes and
cases.
stuff?
Is that different from a normal appraiser? I mean,
Ian,
appraiser
do we have
appraiser.
someone who works on appraisals, I mean, like for tax purposes? I mean, is there someone that we
Our
typically use?
sartorial cases, we have a lot of appraisals going on.
Yeah, we
no?
have, yes, we have appraisers that we work with,
Yeah,
yeah.
all the time.
So I would make a motion that we proceed with getting an appraisal for this property, so this can move ahead before we lose the property.
Well, I think what we do is just get a quote, and then we'll do a resolution, and we'll approve it at the next meeting,
Right, yeah.
and approve the quote and award.
We'll probably
Okay.
Yeah.
need more than one quote.
So do we have 3 people that we can get quotes from? How do we, what's the next
Yeah,
step?
we could get quotes.
Okay, then I think we need to, I guess we need to ask for quotes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Who can take lead on, I'm more than happy to work with somebody to get quotes for appraisal.
No, we'll do it.
So,
We're going to eventually have to pick a person and do it anyway.
I understand, I just want to know what the timeline is and sort of keep,
So you can
Now?
tell the owner.
all right, okay. So that I can tell the owner, yeah, okay, great, thank you.
Well, yeah, we expect to have the quotes by the next meeting in 2 weeks.
That might be a little tight.
Any
So
other?
to,
A quote just to do the appraisal, we could have, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
By what?
Yeah, that's all we
I'm
need.
sorry,
Yeah.
not the appraisal. yeah.
Are there any other matters?
We only need one?
No, we could get a couple.
Yeah, I would get a couple.
Get a couple.
Okay.
Doesn't
so the
But then we
idea-
have to decide which one, right?
Correct.
Do we need that
Okay.
for something that expensive? I mean, like, at that cost? Do we need to get 3?
Your procurement policy was still required.
Even for that amount of money?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I thought professional services were exempt, but, I still think that it's fine to get several quotes, but
Yeah, as long
professional
as we can do them
services are
quickly.
professional services,
Yeah, I would
no?
recommend that the board get a couple quotes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but at the next meeting, the idea is that there'd be a resolution to select one of those. So I can
Yes.
tell the property owner that we will be getting an appraisal in the next 3 weeks, because our next meeting is 2 weeks from now.
Okay, great.
Any other matters?
I don't have any.
Any town board comment?
I will just mention briefly that our theater arts program is going to be culminating with a final performance on Sunday, December 17th at 2 o'clock in the auditorium. And it's free and open to the public with a holiday theme, so it should be fun.
Do you have an MC?
Pardon?
Do you have an MC?
I don't.
Yeah, I know.
but,
That was a
I'll
that was a-
volunteer you.
Isn't the 17th on a Saturday?
Yes.
17th is a Saturday, and why?
The 18th is a Sunday. Is it on
So
Sunday?
no, it's a rain date or a snow date of the 18th, so it's on Saturday, the 17th.
Okay.
And I will just mention that we need to, the electric piano that our instructor has used has broken, and so I'm going to be, with our supplies money, renting from Vincentori's piano an electric keyboard for $250. So that is within our budget, and it's just an unexpected cost, but I think it can be, it is still within our budget. So I would just wanted to mention that. We'll be renting it for the rest of the program. So it's on Saturdays from noon until 2 p.m. with a bunch of extra makeup
From noon
sessions.
to 2 p.m. I'm sorry, I thought you said
Noon
it was
to,
at 2.
no, that's the workshops. The actual performance is at 2
Is it?
o'clock
Okay.
on
This,
Saturday.
is that the same
17th.
time as the craft fair? When is the craft
The
fair?
craft fair is that day, but it's earlier.
From
It's
10 o'clock?
ending. Yeah, so as you're done shopping, hit the auditorium.
Love it. All good?
Yeah.
May I move to adjourn?
Man, I'll second that.
Thank you, Leo.
Well,
Supervisor Curry?
What?
Yes.
Yes.
I
I didn't know what you were,
He's adjourning. Well, they want to adjourn.
okay,
Doyle?
let's adjourn.
Yes.
Overlord?
Yes.
Fine with me.
Gutierrez?